Have you ever wondered what it truly means to have faith under fire? What does it look like when the heat is on, and the stakes are the highest? Daniel's story in the lion's den, found in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, isn't just an ancient tale, it holds profound lessons for our lives today. As we dive into Daniel's lion's den, a faith under fire, prepare to explore themes of unwavering faith, divine protection, and the extraordinary power of God. Daniel was more than just a character in a story, he was a man firmly rooted in his faith. His commitment to God amid adversity set an unparalleled example. Daniel was taken captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, where he served in the royal court. Despite his circumstances, he remained devoted to his God, never compromising his beliefs or practices. The famous story of Daniel and the lion's den is more than a miraculous account, it reflects the struggles and triumphs faced by many of us today. What will you do when your faith is tested? In Daniel 6, we find the dramatic circumstances that led to his trial. Envious officials conspired against him, knowing that his unflinching faith in God would be his greatest vulnerability. They managed to persuade King Darius to issue a decree that anyone who prayed to any god or human other than the king would be thrown into the lion's den. What a brutal test. Imagine being faced with a choice: compromise your faith to avoid potential death or stand firm in your beliefs and face the consequences. How would you respond? Daniel's reaction is astonishing. Instead of abandoning his daily prayers, he opened his windows and prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had. Daniel 6 verse 10 says, "Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before." This shows that Daniel's faith was not merely a belief, it was a lifeline, something he couldn't live without, even in the face of death. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where standing for your faith could lead to serious consequences? Perhaps it's at work, school, or in conversations with friends. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming. Yet Daniel teaches us that when your faith encounters opposition, the way we respond speaks volumes about who we are as Christians. Rhetorically asking ourselves, is our commitment to God strong enough to withstand criticism or persecution? We see Daniel's unwavering resolve. This opens our eyes to the serious nature of our convictions. Remember, Christ encouraged us to stand firm in Matthew 10 verse 32, "Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven." What does Daniel's boldness in the face of persecution teach us about our own commitment to Christ? When Daniel was caught praying, the jealous administrators wasted no time reporting him to King Darius. They had set up a trap, and the king, although reluctant, followed through with the punishment. Verse 16 states, "So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den." Picture that moment, the moment Daniel was sentenced to the den of hungry lions. But first, let's pause and look at the king's reaction. Darius was distressed and spent the night fasting, unable to eat or be entertained, deeply disappointed that he had been tricked into setting up Daniel. This leads us to a critical insight about our influence. Are we living lives of integrity and faithfulness that prompt others, even those who do not share our beliefs, to take notice? The king recognized Daniel's exceptional spirit and favored him. Could it be that our steadfastness and faith can impact the hearts of those around us? What a powerful thought to hold on to. Your faith can shine as a light in the darkest of circumstances. As we move deeper into the narrative, we reach a pivotal moment. The den was sealed, and all hope seemed lost. But God had a plan. The next morning, Darius rushed to the den and called out to Daniel, hoping against hope that he had survived. Verse 20 captures the moment of truth. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" This question transcends time. Will your God rescue you when you're in the depths of despair? Daniel's response is awe-inspiring. "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions." Daniel 6 verses 21 to 22. God's miraculous intervention at such a critical moment underscores a crucial biblical truth. When we stand firm in faith, often, He stands guard over us. God protects us beyond our understanding, sometimes even in ways we can't foresee or imagine. The outcome was a testament not just to Daniel's faith, but to the sovereignty of God. Isn't it amazing how God can turn our trials into platforms for His glory? Think about the trials in your life. Do you see them as opportunities for God to shine through you? Reflect on James 1 verses 2-4, which encourages us to consider it pure joy when we face trials, because they develop perseverance and lead to spiritual maturity. In difficult moments, God is at work, formulating a greater testimony that may emerge from our struggles. As the story unfolds, we learn something profound. Not only was Daniel spared, but the envious administrators who plotted against him were thrown into the den along with their families. As they were cast into the den, the very danger they instigated met them head-on, illustrating the justice of God. It's a sobering reminder of the consequences of aligning ourselves against God's servants. Have you ever experienced a moment where those who sought to harm you received their just desserts? It serves as a powerful reminder of God's justice. Romans 12 verse 19 instructs us not to avenge ourselves, but to leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, "It is mine to avenge, I will repay." This realization can be liberating. We can let go of grudges, knowing that God fights our battles. Now, let's not overlook the stark transformation that takes place. After Daniel's faith was proven, King Darius issued a decree that all should tremble in fear before the God of Daniel. For He is the living God and endures forever, His kingdom will not be destroyed, His dominion will never end. Daniel 6 verse 26. What a beautiful pivot! A king, once worshipped as a deity himself, recognized the one true God. Through Daniel's unwavering faith, an entire kingdom was invited to acknowledge the lordship of God. Can you imagine the ripples that this event created in the hearts of the people? Faith can have a ripple effect, often reaching far beyond our imagination. How are you sharing your faith in your spheres of influence? When you stand firm in your beliefs, do you consider how God may use your testimony to speak to others? Furthermore, we can draw a poignant parallel between Daniel's experience and the life of Christ. Just as Daniel faced a den of lions for his beliefs, Christ faced crucifixion. Both remained faithful amid trials, and both emerged victoriously. Daniel was rescued by God, while Jesus conquered death itself. His resurrection offers us eternal protection and life. Those are promises that transcend our earthly struggles. As we reflect on the lessons gathered from Daniel's lion's den, we see that faith under fire is not merely about our ability to withstand pressure, it's about recognizing God's sovereignty and power to deliver us. It's about living out our faith publicly and privately, trusting that we are always held in His mighty hands, whether in prosperity or persecution. In conclusion, the story of Daniel in the lion's den is a vivid testament to what it truly means to have faith under fire. From Daniel's commitment to prayer to God's miraculous intervention, we are reminded that challenges can transform into opportunities for growth and greater influence. Equip yourself to remain steadfast when faced with trials, and remember that God is both your refuge and strength, especially in those lion-like moments of life. So I leave you with a reflective question: how will you respond when faced with challenges that threaten your faith? Will you follow Daniel's example, committing to prayer and trust, no matter the cost? Each day provides us with a chance to display our faith. Let us all strive to be like Daniel, living boldly for Christ, in whom we find our ultimate strength and deliverance.